Welcome. Major update here for Bitcoin and altcoins. I just posted earlier in my free Discord group talking about why I'm expecting some pretty substantial flushes on altcoins. So I'm going to talk about what that may look like and why I'm expecting that. And also talk about Bitcoin, why things still look good on higher time frames for our next major move to the upside, but maybe not before one last flush to the downside. First, talk a little bit about where that might end up if it happens, and what to expect with these altcoins and why we may be just before a major move to the upside on altcoins, but not before a pretty substantial flush. So let's get into those things. I do want to give a quick shout out to my affiliate exchange, BingX. If you guys are interested in an exchange to trade crypto, stocks, forex, indices, and commodities, check out BingX with my affiliate link in my description. No KYC required. You can trade all of these markets using USDT, which is quite unique thing about this exchange. So check it out, BingX exchange with my affiliate link if you're interested. Now let's talk about weekly time frame Bitcoin. So what looks good? Well, the good thing is that we have a weekly hidden bullish divergence here with our RSI, which kind of gives us a clue at what we should be looking for here, which would be a higher low compared to this pullback. That being said, that's quite a range between this pullback's low and this pullback's low. So we kind of need to look a bit closer at things. While that is good, we still may have a good amount of downside in the tank here. So let's take a look here at what this might look like and why I'm expecting this. We can look at the altcoins to give us another clue at what might be coming here in just a sec. So we still have an untapped low here that's very obvious. So we have this one, and then if we go into an either lower time frame like the hourly, if this were to come down lower, we can kind of expect, okay, maybe we're coming down to sweep some of these just really minor lows here, or even right here. So we have some untapped lows, and that is where I would be interested in thinking about a new position to then ride this for its next major move to the upside. Something like this, where we come down one more time and then sweep up and go for 80K, 90K, and beyond. But more importantly, let's talk about what is setting up on altcoins and what I am thinking is very likely to happen, where we could see some really major gains from these altcoins. So let's take a look at Litecoin from example number 1 here and compare it to the previous cycle. So just before things really took off with altcoins, across the board, we had this sort of push down where we had kind of this initial drive, then a pullback, a large drive to the downside, and then kind of our last final smaller drive down before we really took off to the upside. So let's take a look at the one from the previous cycle. Let's kind of remove our drawings here. So we had this kind of initial small drive, large push, big flush, and then finally a smaller drive to the downside before we really take off to the upside. And what we don't have on this current pullback is our final smaller drive yet. So just bearing in mind that we may be gearing up for our final drive to the downside before things really take off. So expecting that we see something like this before we really take off with our altcoins. Now, another one, Filecoin. So things could look like this, where we have a final flush, which is not a small flush. This is a daily time frame, so it'd be something in the 30% range, coming down, taking out some more lows before really taking off and heading up towards untapped highs from this previous downtrend. So if we saw something like this, that would give us about a 600% move towards untapped highs. And I see this as a very real possibility, because normally things don't end on a large drive to the downside like this. Normally things end where we have kind of this big move and then things kind of trickle down after a big move. So that's exactly what I would expect here. Is we have kind of this small drive, we got our big drive, and then kind of our smaller trickle down to create the real low before we get our big reversal to continue this overall uptrend here. So momentum, as I made a video about recently, normally doesn't end with just a big drive to the downside like that. Normally there's the big move and then the little bit of a smaller move to finish things off. And so that's why I'm thinking, okay, maybe we have that last final drive left in the tank here, which would also take us down to sweep some untapped lows, which would be perfect to set things up, set the stage for that next major trending move towards untapped highs over here. So we can look at CRV as well, where we see a similar thing, where it would be perfect to get that small drive followed by our major drive and then our final smaller drive down before getting things on the upswing for major moves to the upside in the multiple hundreds of percentage range. So that's what I'm expecting right now. We may not get it, of course. No one knows what's going to happen for sure, but if we are to set up like this, I'm going to really be jumping on this with as much capital as I can as far as spot holdings go, and I will look for the potential for a leverage position if I can get a nice bullish divergence down here. But I'll be updating that in my Discord group. Again, it's a free group. Just message me if you want to join. Now, as you can kind of imagine, if we were to get those final moves down, Bitcoin would then also have another move down, as I spoke about earlier, where essentially what we have now is the hidden bullish divergence on the higher time frames. But let's not kind of ignore that we may come down for another move, as this correction that we're seeing right now is essentially just looking at correcting this impulse up. So this previous one, we had this strong move to the upside, then this was kind of our correction of that move. We have another strong move to the upside, and we're kind of correcting this impulse, which could and often does come down farther than this when we're correcting a major impulse like the one we just saw to the upside here, all the way from 38 up to 74,000. So this coming down farther, just keeping it in the cards. We may not get it, but just to be cautious there, and wouldn't want to jump in right at this moment with that possibility in mind. But below the lows of the current consolidation, I see that as a good discount. So in that area down here, that would be a great discount, and would look for some bullish divergence down in this area to then take a new position. But just kind of being cautious, and also with the way the altcoins are looking, being cautious there as well. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and have a nice day.